Hello and welcome to Spurs Kings TV and the pitch. It's your host Marlon. Sorry about the technical difficulties. The stream wouldn't start. Anyway, so my co-host is away. Ash is away, people. He's not here. He's gone. He's on holiday, a well-deserved holiday. So tonight is something slightly different. What we're going to bring you is we're going to talk about Spurs a little bit because that's what I'm going to bring out my Spurs friends. We're going to talk about Spurs a little bit. But what we also want to do is compare it to the rest of the Premier League. So it's a 2-for-1 tonight. So anyway, let me bring out the guest and who I've got with me. First of all, I think everybody knows him. You know who I'm talking about. He's the ratings killer. He's going to give you all the waffle that he can, but we love him. Alex, are you well? And can you hear me?
So I was drinking all the tears of Arsenal fans. That was it. Sorry. Just drinking it all in. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know, because they lost the championship, didn't they? You know, the championship they should have won. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, isn't it? You know what I mean? You know how it is every single time. You know what time it is. It's Mr. Box Office, the main event, the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, the ratings killer. Back on the pitch. You know what I mean? And Marlon needed the ratings killer to bring up the ratings of the pitch, and that's it. You know what I mean? So let's go. Let's get into it.
So my next another Spurs fan that I'm bringing on, Jay, are you well?
I'm good. I'm glad the season's over. I can tell you that.
Ain't we all? We're all happy that the season is over. But again, another guest that I like to bring out, another Spurs fan who's been with me since day one, since streaming. But Andy, are you well?
How are we doing, guys? All right, you good?
So look, right. I'm gonna get straight into this, right? So let's start this, right? Let's talk about Spurs, right? And we'll quickly talk about Spurs. For you guys that are all Spurs fans, did the season plan out exactly how you expected? And Jay, I'm gonna start with you. How did you expect the season to end for you?
Do you know what? Like, genuinely, after we lost Kane, I thought we ain't gonna get even any European spot. And then obviously how the season progressed up until that Chelsea collapse, I thought, yeah, we might get top four. But since then, it's just been a battle of watching us play terribly. And then the odd game, we might show up. So, I mean, it went better than expected. But coming towards the end of it, it's a bit deflating. So, is what it is.
Box office. Let me bring you in. How did you, when Ange was appointed, how did you expect the season to go? And did it turn out exactly how you expected? Or was it better or was it worse for you?
It's just a normal season, as far as I'm concerned. I don't see anything different to what I've seen before. To be honest with you, over being a Spurs fan, and it just in recent times, I think it's just got worse because it's on social media now. I think that's it for me. I think the start, was over the top. I think that was it. I think everyone was going over the top about Ange at the end of the day. And like I said, I don't even like him. I've said from the beginning, I was skeptical, and I was always right. I think good on him for sticking by his principles, and that's it. I gave him credit for that. I think the team, certain players have disappointed me majorly.
Yeah.
And the players that are people's favourites, I have to say that. I think the season has been bang average. It's been a bang average quality. I don't think it's a quality league. I never said it was a quality league. I think it's been not a quality league for a long time. I think it sums it up with the players that were very good last season didn't really turn up this season. And I think just to answer your question, I think it's just a normal season for Tottenham. I just think, and just unfortunately, I think other teams haven't really stepped up as well for me, and that's just my vibe, and that's it. And I'm pretty down about it, to be honest with you. But I'll explain a little bit more when we get into it.
Andy, so you got Jay considering where we're at, and box office very disappointed. Where are you going with the season?
Well, first of all, it's nice to know box office is in a great mood tonight. Bring everyone's spirits up. every time me and box office are on this together, something really kicks off. So it's good to see you again, box office. Look, it is what it is. I mean, at the start of the season, I think we all agreed that we didn't really know what was going to happen. We didn't really understand where we was as a club, who the manager was. I don't think any of us really understood who he was. I think my honest opinion from last season was it couldn't go any worse because Conte last season, we couldn't even pass 5 passes last season. I said the other day. So this season, I was kind of like okay for a nice clean slate, to be fair. I know we've done this probably about 8 times with 8 different managers, but the honest truth is, it was kind of one of those unknown seasons where I was okay to give the manager a little bit of time to see what happens, to see if the football can improve, because obviously that's what we were looking for. And then obviously the first 10 games shocked everybody. We started talking massively highly. And then, the honeymoon period wore off and then we're back to it. But I don't think we've had a bad season, to be fair. I mean, 5th place is, if somebody said at the start of the season that we'd finish 5th, I think every single one of us would have taken it, considered last season we couldn't pass the ball. So we've gone from 8th in the league to 5th European football. Of course, we're a little bit disappointed after the first 10 games, not with Champions League, but I think it will definitely be a process under this manager, and I'm okay with 5th, to be fair.
Good to know. So, how this is going to run for the next hour and a bit. So, obviously, I've given you guests a pre-examine of how we want to run this and how we're going to give out the awards, right? So, first of all, say everyone in the chat, we're going to give out the Spurs award first for that player, and then compare them to who we all thought was the Premier League version of that and see how far away we are, right? So everyone in the chat, for every single question that we put up, right, the guys are going to explain, especially with the Spurs one, going to explain who there is, and we want to know who your winner is out of the players they pick, and then we want to know your players as well. So everyone in the chat, I want you to get heavily involved in this as well, right? So, Jay, I'm going to start with you, right? So let's talk about the player of the season for you this year for Spurs.
I think we've had this debate. I've had it on other podcasts as well. I think Mickey van der Ven's obviously the clear front runner. And I think that's just sign for me that we've missed that strong left centre-back. And we ain't had one since Jan Vertonghen. So for me, no question about it, Van der Ven.
Any reason behind that? Why Van der Ven gets in front of everyone else? Like, why has he had a better season than, let's say, Romero?
He's had a better season because I've been quite critical of Romero, especially this season. I think, obviously, with the high line that we play, if we didn't have Van der Ven's pace there, you're talking we'd lose most games by 7, 8 goals. And obviously, Romero does really well. But he's heavily complemented by Van der Ven's pace. Obviously, if the ball goes over the top of Romero, Van der Ven's there to clean up every single time. So I think that's what wins it for me. And the fact of this manager wants to play a certain way without the centre-back with pace, as we've seen when Dragustin did come in at left centre-back when we didn't have the pace, he was exposed a little bit. So it's me more trying to sell to myself that this manager is the right guy for the job. But he's got the perfect player for his system. And for us this year, I just think when we've needed the goals, he's stepped up. And that goes for Romero as well.
Box office. Player of the season for Spurs. This is going to be quite difficult for you.
Well, it's quite simple. I think people go over the top about this guy. I think people say that this guy's going to be playing for Real Madrid in the next couple of seasons. He's only the one season this season, so I think we need to tame it down a little bit. I just remind people about Dele Alli. I would say Mickey van der Ven, yes. Reason is, I think he's saved us so many times. He makes Romero look good. He's played left back as well, which I don't even know why Ange was taking so long to make that decision so long, because it was just so obvious when you're playing Emerson Royale, which again, I'm still confused, but people say he was the next Cafu last year anyway, but let's move on. But yeah, so yeah, I think, it has to be him. And also he's better than our strikers striking the ball. I've got to be honest, because I wouldn't take any of our strikers. Let's be honest here. But let's not get started on the below average Emil Heskey, aka Richarlison. So you know, I think for me, he's been good. He's been very good. But next season he has to be better. And this is the problem. This is the problem I have at the moment with players that play well. And I am worried about that hamstring, because that hamstring is just going to do this. Keep on clicking. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, for me, the answer is Van de Ven.
Andy, let me bring you in. So that's 2 for Van de Ven. Where are you? Are you sitting with everyone else on Van de Ven?
No, it's Ben Davies, isn't it? No, look, I think by the ratings this year, I don't think anyone can disagree with Van de Ven. It's got to be him. Defensively, he's been solid. He's got better stats, and he's been out for like 3 months, so he's got better stats than most of them. I agree with Box. Obviously, he's made Romero look very, very good. And I feel like when he wasn't in the team, when he was injured, Van de Ven, you saw a little bit of shakiness from Romero. So yeah, Van de Ven at the back, fantastic. Driving through the midfield, fantastic. Playing left back, fantastic. Scoring goals, fantastic. So we can't really maneuver away from Van de Ven. But what I will say is, and I know a lot of people would disagree with me, but I feel like Vicario has gone under the radar a little bit, and he was a close second for me, because I know there's a thing with not being able to defend corners, but the honest truth is every single team in the Premier League defends their goalie, and we're the only one that hasn't defended our goalie this year. And the only person that defended the goalie this year was Dragerson against Man City and Sheffield United. So Vicario was a close second for me, but no, yeah, I agree. It's got to be Mickey Van de Ven.
So I slightly disagree with all of you. I would have gone for Romero. That would have been mine. And I know you guys said that Van de Ven has kind of made it look better, but out of the two, I personally think that Romero had the better season, if I'm looking at it objectively, because I know people talk about he's rash and this, that, and the other, but if you actually look at him everyone thinks he should be captain. I think everyone kind of has gone with that. But for me, I think Vicario made too many mistakes around January, especially when he got exposed, right? And that probably stopped Vicario from being in it. And Van de Ven's hamstrings kind of just killed us for like a month or two. And Romero has been more constant. And that's the reason why I would have put Romero as our player of the season. That's me personally.
I think he can do more. Sorry. I think he can do much, much, much more. I think Ange has missed a trick with him, as far as I'm concerned. I do agree. I do agree with that. Yeah.
With
him. I think you can play him in midfield. I think you can play that number 6 role. I think this is where I've got my doubts on Ange at the moment. I don't think he's a good coach at the moment. I don't think he's a good coach. Just looking at him this season, I just think there's players there that from last season I don't think have improved massively. And don't talk to me about Poro, because Poro can do better.
If I was to ask you a question, quick question on Romero and Van de Ven. If Real Madrid or Barcelona were looking for a defender tomorrow, I'm just using them as an example because they used to they're the ones, or even Man City, who are they more likely to go after?
Everybody knows the answer. It's going to be Van de Ven.
Yeah, it's going to be Van de Ven.
You think so?
Yeah. You know what my issue is, right? And I have this debate with a lot of the boys in the gym all the time about Romero. I love Romero. Do not get me wrong, right? But I have to say, there's certain times in the season where you feel like, is this guy world class or is he not world class? There's certain times where you've got to look at a defender's decision making. And the one at Chelsea completely killed about 6-7 games of us. Now, we're 1-0 up at Chelsea. You boys were all there. We're 1-0 up. We're dominating the game. We scored the second goal, went offside. Chelsea couldn't touch the ball. Is that decision-making that he made to follow through, give away a penalty, get a red card? That's the reason that I don't put him above someone like Mickey Van de Ven. Mickey Van de Ven and a world-class defender would never make that decision-making. I'm sorry. So for me, yes, he has had a good season, Romero, and we're going to praise him for being, good defensively and everything else. But the decision at Chelsea, for me, killed 5 games. And I have to say that a lot of that injury, and I might get I might get ripped up in the comments for this, but a lot of that injury was on Romero from Van de Ven because, you know, the decision making and to not cover the defender and then to allow him to be at the back on his own, he's just all over the place. Like for me, the decision making is not good enough from Romero.
It's having that John Terry sort of mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, I
having
can tell you that
mindset.
You know as well as I know, Saliba, these type of players, they don't make that decision. They don't make that decision making is key to becoming world class. Okay, someone like Van de Ven don't make that decision. Someone like Virgil van Dijk don't make that decision. You know, you've got to look at these things. And even though Romero's a good defender, I still don't think he's world class. I don't think he has the mentality to be world class, if I'm being really honest with you. But again, somebody just put in the comments, Destiny, I agree with you. Romero has grown massively this season. I agree with that. But for me, night and day from Van de Ven to Romero for me.
The question I was going to ask, and I've totally lost my mind. I forgot what I was going to ask then, because I was going to ask something about Romero. But if you look at Romero this season, right, like how many bad games has he really had apart from Chelsea? Where Van de Ven, you can sit there and say, look, Isak, like I know everyone was praising him, but since Newcastle, I wouldn't say Van de Ven's been absolutely spot on apart from, was it Forest where he scored? Or no, Burnley. And they're bottom sides. Van de Ven hasn't been great in the last month or so, if we're all being completely honest, where Romero has stepped up in those games.
I feel like we're looking at the Newcastle game specifically, and I know that people are going to point at that, and they're going to say, okay, maybe
it's not just that, because even against Arsenal, he wasn't great.
Look, a lot of the players against Arsenal wasn't great. If we're being honest,
but everyone gave Romero man of the match that game.
I didn't. Absolutely not.
A lot of people did, because he was the only one chasing. He was the only one hustling.
Look, he's had a good season. I'm not denying.
I know what my question was. About Romero. Do you think the reason why Romero is quite rash and things like that, especially last season and especially at the beginning of this season, where they was getting used to style of play, do you think it's down to the fact that he feels when he's getting frustrated and he feels like the defense is being exposed? Because at most times it was just him and Van de Ven at the back, because Destiny had gone up and Porro had gone up, that he gets frustrated in that sense, where when he's playing for Argentina and stuff, there's always constantly three and then a man sitting in front.
Whose fault's that though, Marlon?
Well, this is the question. Do you think it's more down to frustration of the manager?
It's down to a player's mindset to make that decision, to not make stupid, rash decisions like he did. It's not. You can't blame.
He's only done it once. You're blaming him for one decision.
I'm not blaming him for one decision. I'm blaming him for a few decisions this season. I'm blaming him for Bournemouth at home, where he nearly messed up for 2 goals. I'm blaming him for playing out the back, making mistakes. I'm blaming
Van de Ven.
Yeah, listen, I get it. I get it. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying both of them are unbeatable. I'm not saying Van de Ven's unbeatable. What I'm saying is, for me, there's been a clear and obvious difference between Van de Ven and the calmness of Van de Ven and the one-on-one defending.
I get it, because I do like Van de Ven. Don't get me wrong.
Romero, and I have to say again, I'm going to go back to that decision that he made at Chelsea, which ruined about 5 games of us. I'm going to be really honest with you, because I believe that if Romero's on the pitch, I don't believe that Van de Ven snaps his hamstring, because the sweeper is always going to be Romero. He wasn't the sweeper because he got sent off. All of a sudden, he's got to go for a 40-yard dash and he pulls his hamstring. So there was a lot of different problems from that game, and that was also a 3-match ban on top of that. There's so many differences that for me, it's not just one mistake. But again, I'm not taking away from Romero. Romero has been good this season. I'm not taking that away. So please, I don't want anyone thinking that I'm saying he's a bad player or anything.
No, I don't really care. I think he's okay. I think everyone goes over the top about him.
So my question is, because the 3 players you've kind of mentioned is Vicario, Van de Ven, and Romero, but we've let in 61 goals this year.
Yeah, because we're an attacking team. That's why we're an attacking team, and he's been focusing on the attack. You know what I mean?
So we're attacking team, but you've given it to 3 defenders where we've
because our strikers are absolutely useless. That's why. And Maddison had starting Basuma.
Look, we're 2 goals off. Like, this was our 4th worst defensive display in the Premier League this year, right? And we were 2 goals worse off than last year. We were 2 goals better off than what we conceded last year. But yet we've given it to a goalkeeper and 2 defenders. And yes, Royale and Ben Davies came in. But if you look at most of the games they played in, they weren't conceding as many. So this is why I'm asking the question.
They're not perfect. No, they're not. And that's why I said they need to be better next season. Yeah. But also that's on the tactics of Ange as well. You know what I mean? You know, and maybe also I always say it, and I stick to what I say. Yeah, when I rinse we are Tottenham to pieces. We are Tottenham TV to pieces on this. Yeah, I said the
Oh, wait, leave
strike
them boys
force,
alone. Leave them boys
Barnaby.
alone.
Yeah, gave him his homework. Yeah, like I said. Yeah, I told you if you're gonna start playing people like Timo Werner, the below average Shane Long, yeah, Brendan Johnson, yeah, and Richarlison. Where are you going with this? You know what I mean? And
Look,
Solomon's
box
at
office,
no
yeah,
man's.
that's the hand that's been dealt to him. To be fair to Ange Postecoglou, that is the hand that's been dealt with him, because it was either getting Werner, which by the way I think is shocking. So I'm with you with that. I also think Brennan Johnson's shocking as well. So I'm with you with that. But it is the hand that Ange got given. Look, I'm sure that if there was better players available than Timo Werner in the transfer window, that he would have gone for him. But unfortunately, the Spurs way is the cheap and cheerful way, and Timo Werner was that.
Well, that's why we're not going to do anything.
Correct.
That's why
I
we're not going
agree.
to do anything, Andrew. Because I'm sorry, in those games when we lost, right, we had chances. Yeah, I was there at the stadium. I've seen most of the games. I've been at the stadium. Yeah, and I've looked at Timo Werner. No swag, no arrogance.
It's shocking.
Richarlison, no swag, no arrogance. Ivan Toney, you put Ivan Toney in that position. So we're going off topic. Sorry, Marlon. Yeah, but if you put Ivan Toney in that position, he might miss a chance, but he'll just shrug his shoulder and say, "So I'll bang it in next week." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll bang it in.
Well, not my last month or so, but yeah.
No, I know, but that's the thing. He's got the swag. Defoe has swag. Berbatov has swag. It's the attack. Unfortunately, it is the attack. And I'm not being funny. I'd rather have Romero up front and Van de Ven up front, because at least they could score goals. You know what I mean? Poro has got a bloody shot on him. You've seen the last two games.
I think it's evident that we're going to go for attacking players. Andrew's already said that. I would be very, very surprised that if Brennan Johnson is even in the starting lineup next year, or Kulusevski, I think we'll go for Tony. I think Tony will come. But I also think they're going to go for a couple of wide players. And I think I even think people like Kulusevski might leave. I'll be honest with you. I think he's been on a tight stream for a while. But I have to say the recruitment for Brennan Johnson was absolutely shocking for 45 million quid. I'm sorry, but
we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
I mean, that hasn't worked. So I mean, yeah.
So you've all picked Van de Ven, and most of the chats picked Van de Ven as well, right? So my next question to you: where does that sit in the Premier League Player of the Year? Like, who for you, was the Premier League Player of the Year this season?
So easy. So
Jay,
easy.
I'm going to start with you. Premier League. So you've picked Van de Ven for Spurs. Who's the Premier League Player of the Year?
In my opinion, there's one, and obviously he plays for City, Phil Foden. I don't think, regardless of not even just Premier League, Champions League, for a 23-year-old, he's just been head and shoulders above everybody else, and the consistency's been there. And obviously, when you look to choose one for the Premier League, you pick the one that shines the most. And for me, Phil Foden.
Alex, chat as well. Before you go, chat. Player of the season, Premier League, please. I want to know who everyone else is thinking as well.
I didn't rate him too much last couple of seasons. Didn't rate him at all. I thought he was just a middleman. I thought he was just the guy that was just carrying everyone's bags at Man City. Now he's become the man, Phil Foden. Now, like he's now the go-to guy. You know what I mean? That's what I talk about. You know what I mean? He's not the sidekick, not that guy that was just there with Silva, Rodri. You know, he had the above average John Carew without the goals, Haaland. You know what I mean? Yeah, you didn't have that, but now you got Foden, and he's banging in goals. He's making effect, doing things now. He's doing this, doing that. For me, hands down the best player. He's the reason why one of the reasons why Man City won the league this season. 110%. I mean, sometimes he only scored. Was it how many minutes did it take him to score a goal?
1 minute.
1 minute. Yeah.
Says it all. If this guy is not a star man, not that I care about Euros at the moment, is not the star man in England in the Euros, Southgate's got something to answer for. I'm sorry, because this guy had a brilliant season. Yeah, and he should be a star for the Euros. Again, I'll be on holiday, so I won't really care anyway. So back to you, Marlon.
Andy, player of the season for you.
Yeah, it's out of him and Cole Palmer, to be fair. Cole Palmer, I thought he's been exceptional. Look, Phil Foden, we know is a quality player. I feel like Cole Palmer's come out of nowhere. I'm going to give it to Phil Foden because the goals that he's scored this season for City have been incredible and in very important goals. So, for example, last season, the important goals for City were coming from Gundogan. This season, it looks like it's switched over to Phil Foden. Actually, he's the one scoring the important goals. The goals in the Champions League, the goals in the Premier League to give him that title. So yeah, I'm going to give it to Phil Foden for sure.
So I'm going to bring up a couple of names, right? And I want to get your opinion on them because you've all mentioned Foden, right? And I just want to bring some other people onto the table, right? So one is Rodri, right? Why has no one picked him when he hasn't lost the game all season? Yeah. So remember that he hasn't lost the game all season. Where does Declan Rice fit in this conversation?
He's up there.
Right?
He's up
right.
there.
And I don't like Arsenal, but I'm going to be openly and honest and say he's fucking had a great season, right? Cole Palmer. A lot of people have mentioned Cole Palmer as well, right? So I'm going to give I've given 3 names there, right? I'm going to give box office. I'm going to give you Cole Palmer while you're picking Foden over Cole Palmer. Andy, I want to give you. Who should I give you? I'm going to give you Rice. Why you pick Foden over Rice? And Jay, I'm going to give you Rodri. Yeah.
Cheers.
Right. So box office. I'll start with you. Why have you picked Foden over Cole Palmer this year?
This is easy. He had no expectations. No one expected it this season that he was going to do what he did at Chelsea. He's done well. He's done well. But the test of time will be next season. Now everyone knows about him now. So now we're going to see whether, with people now concentrating on him now, right, next season, right, what is he going to do? Is he going to shrink like a mouse or turn up? This is where the boys become the men. You know what I mean? We saw this with Dele Alli. Dele Alli had a great season, and he, when people start to figure him out a little bit more, started doing little tactics to stop him. That's when you're seeing the real player. You know what I mean? So for me at the moment, yeah, he's had a good season, but no one expected it. No one. And Chelsea, let's be honest here, haven't been that great. You know what I mean? Even though they've got back up there, and that's it. But I think next season now people know about him now. They're going to be putting people on him now. So let's see what he can do, and he can be better. This is the problem now. You do a good season. This is what happens back in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like with the real men, the Bergkamps, the Ginolas. I think Andrew, you can talk to me about players because I think you got minds. Some back in the 90s. You know what I mean? Those sort of players, those men, those mavericks. Me old,
box office?
Huh? I'm old as well, bruv. I'm old school.
Listen,
from the 90s. You know what I mean?
The Greys, they come early. They come early doors. Don't worry. I'm still 21.
I know. But it's cool. It's cool anyway. It's old school, isn't it? But the point I'm making is that, for me at the moment, I think Foden's had a few seasons, and this season he really made himself known for me. And I think for me, that's why he's over Cole Palmer for me.
Andy, why Foden over Rice?
Listen, first of all, Rice has been incredible. But what I will say, similar to the Rodri thing as well, when you're an attacking player and you score the goals that Phil Foden has scored single-handedly outside the box, you're going to get more plaudits than a CDM. I feel like a CDM can only do a certain amount. And I feel like someone like Phil Foden has completely blown the Premier League to pieces this year. So he's always going to get more plaudits than a CDM or a centre-back so like I said, the goals he's scoring single-handedly outside the box, left foot, top corner, big pressure games. I mean, you have to put him ahead. But I have to say, Rice has been incredible this year. And at the start of the season, we was all like 100 million, please flop, please flop, please flop. And I'll tell you something. I was in the gym after the second game I saw him, and I was like, I can't even cuss this guy. Like, he's so fucking good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really want to say, no, he's shit. He's 100 million waste of money. But inside, I'm thinking he's probably about 150, to be fair. I think they've done well to get for 100. So, now Rice has been unbelievable this year. But Phil Foden, he takes it away just because he won the Premier League probably single-handedly. Not single-handedly, but, you know, with the goals he scored, like I said.
Jay, I gave you the hard one. Why have you picked Foden over Rodri? Because before we start, this is the man, that hasn't lost a game in over how long for Manchester City, and the games they lost this season, he was missing.
I mean, you look at Man City as a collective, With Man City, there's 11. You could argue world-class players on their team. In every position, they've got players that are either the best or one of the best in their position.
Apart from when Rodri comes out of it.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's an insane statistic.
Yeah.
But as Andy said, you've got a young 23-year-old that is taking games single-handedly by himself, and the goals that he's scoring ain't just these. He's in the right place at the right time. He's creating the space, and some of the goals, and they're just something else. I think there was a statistic the other day that come up. At 23 years of age, the kid's got he's got 6 Premier League medals. He's won 1 Champions League. This and the trophy list that he's got, same as Rodri, but he's doing this at 23, and he is now other than Rodri, other than Haaland, probably the first name on that team sheet, regardless. And it's just he's thrived under the pressure this year. So I mean, realistically, there's probably 7 or 8 players you could say, who's been the best in the league? For me personally, I just think he sits at the top. One, because you see what he does every game.
It's a quick question as well, because I picked 3 of the standouts, but would anyone of even pick Saliba or Ollie Watkins?
Saliba has to be in that conversation. He has. I hate to say it, but their defensive record this season speaks for itself. And don't get me wrong, Gabriel compliments that, but Saliba, I don't think he's missed a single game for Arsenal this season.
No, he played every game. He was the only player that played every game this season.
I mean, he's played every single game, and every game, defensively, they've looked completely sure. Obviously, at Man City Stadium, where you could argue that's when they threw the league away because they didn't play for a win. But again, he's just he's the defender. If anybody's going to be looking for one in world football, any of the majorly big boys like the Madrids, he's going to be the first name on everybody's target sheet.
So the reason I brought up Watkins, right, and I just wanted to check with you lot, right, is because actually when you look at his assists and how many goals he scored this year, right, it was incredible numbers considering it was for Aston Villa, who got smashed on the first day and smashed on the last day, right, and actually got Champions League spot. Would anyone even put that conversation forward about Watkins?
What you saying about Watkins? What do you mean? As in
player of the season? Player of the season, yeah.
No.
Why not? Because he's contributed. Like we talk about Phil Foden, he's got more assists than Foden this year, right? And I don't know about goals. I'd have to quickly look that up. But he's playing in a team that's, let's be honest, a Unai Emery team that's not the best team in the country. But he's what he's pulled out this year has been fantastic numbers considering.
Yeah, no, he's been a good player this year. There's no denying that. His goals have been ridiculous. But I mean, would I put him ahead of Phil Foden and the players that we just spoke about, Rice? And no, I wouldn't personally. Even though they've had a good season, I do feel like this Aston Villa thing's played a little bit. I feel like they're getting all the plaudits, but you know, Spurs have kind of given them that position. I'm really sorry to say. I don't want to sound bitter, but Spurs give them the top 4. You know, we lost 4 out of 5 games. You know, it
wasn't just us. Chelsea, United, Newcastle.
I mean, no, listen. What I'm saying is, you know, we've lost 4 out of 5 games. Before those 4 out of 5 games, we were equal points when we were game in hand. So I mean, who would have thought that we would have got 0 points out of those 4 games?
But they still managed to pick up points against Arsenal. They picked up points against City. Yeah, they picked up points against Liverpool. A point, I think they picked up against Liverpool.
Yeah, a point. Yeah.
And they picked up points against us. So it's not to say we gave it to them. They beat Arsenal twice.
I want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. Yeah. I personally believe when they went away to Arsenal and got 3 points, they deserved the 4th. That is my honest truth. Not because I hate Arsenal. No, not because I hate Arsenal.
That's how I felt.
If you are good enough to go to title contenders and take 3 points and not sit back and defend and try and hold out for a draw, actually go for the win, which they did, then in my opinion, they deserved it, because we played Arsenal 4 games later and Arsenal slapped us. You know, we were 3-0 down at Arsenal, whatever it was. So, you know, I feel like Villa do deserve 4th, but we've handed it to them. We haven't made them go to the last day and make sure they get that win. We've kind of given them that. But because, in my opinion, if we beat Chelsea, they don't get that 4th place. The Chelsea game was a killer for me. The
Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, us. Spurs,
but no disrespect though, Marlon, but Chelsea are crap. I don't care. Like, I'm sorry.
But you say Chelsea are crap.
In that game.
Yeah, but Chelsea,
they were.
Did they only lose 2 games out of the last 19 or
That's
something?
fair enough. But in
So they're on form.
That's fair enough. In that game specifically, we were shocking. We couldn't pass the ball. The manager was absolutely seething at halftime from what all the reports come out and said. He was screaming at halftime in the dressing room because we were so bad in that game.
But we were poor in the Arsenal game and Newcastle before it, so it was expected.
But you're talking about Arsenal. You're not talking about Arsenal.
Okay. What Newcastle?
Newcastle. I mean, I can't remember the last time we won at Newcastle, if I'm being honest with you. We never do anything at Newcastle. But
the 3 seasons ago we did, right? Yeah. So the last 2 times we've been there, we lost, and the third one. But Chelsea,
we haven't lost. We've been slapped.
Yeah, we've been slapped twice. But Chelsea lost. Chelsea's won. Chelsea's one win in 24 years.
I understand that, but in my opinion, this was the year to slap Chelsea up. I genuinely believe that the team that we had, that we had a full team at Chelsea as well. There was no injuries. There was no real excuses. When we turned up at Stamford Bridge that night, we handed in those goals. I'm really sorry. The defense was shocking. The set piece,
it wasn't surprising though. It wasn't surprising because Chelsea finished 6th. Yeah, Chelsea finished 6th. And everyone's talking about their crap, their this, that, and the other. Right? Yes, Arsenal slapped them up, and I can't remember the other game that they lost. Right? Yeah. But only their home record, right, from January was incredible, and everyone just bypassed that because of how bad their start was.
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, if Bournemouth can beat them at Stamford Bridge, we can beat them at Stamford Bridge.
But then other teams have gone there and beat Chelsea, but we don't.
Okay, but we're a better team than Chelsea this season.
Were we though?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
What was the points difference? 3 points.
The last 10 games, no. But I mean,
it's over a course of the season. So generally, because Chelsea had the bad start, you can't sit there and say we were better than Chelsea when Chelsea had a better end than we did.
Over the course of the season, we were a better team because we finished above them. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, if I go player for player, or for example, with their team, there's only 3 players that get into our team from their team. And you're looking at the Cole Palmers and stuff. They've got the Sassies at the back and all of this crap.
So who are those 3? I'm intrigued to know who those 3 are now.
I looked at that team, that Chelsea team. I'll get the lineup in a minute. And I was like, we have to beat this team. I'm really, really sorry, but we have to beat that team. And I agree with you. We haven't got to win at Stamford Bridge and everything, and that does come over it. But if you're going to keep on looking at you haven't won in 24 years, then it's just going to keep on going and going and going. That mentality is shit. And that's the problem with this team. I'm talking about Spurs, not you. I'm talking that if you're going to be scared to go to Stamford Bridge when they're having the most horrid season they've had in years, okay, their fans are turning on the manager, calling him a Spurs waste of space, and you're too scared to go to them and get 3 points, then what are we really going to achieve? Let's be honest with you.
But when we went to Stamford, my point is though, but when we went to Stamford Bridge, it wasn't like Chelsea weren't on form. We wasn't. They was. So the game was actually as expected. Yeah, they was, because they hadn't lost at home for how long? Their home record was better than their away. They'd only just been slapped up by Arsenal, which was, when you look at their form, was a slightly freak result for them. But this is what I'm saying. If we had played Chelsea a few weeks before, I think they were just starting to get into the momentum. So my thing is, why do we think we're better than Chelsea when they've only finished 3 points behind us?
For me, somebody in the comments made a good point, by the way. They said about the mentality. I absolutely agree. For me, that game solely was mentality. I'm sorry. I don't care. Form goes out the window in these London derbies with Chelsea and Arsenal specifically. I'm really sorry, but it was the fear of going to Stamford Bridge. The same way, by the way, it was the fear of going to Old Trafford this year. We only got a draw, but we should have beaten. It's that fear for me. And we have to remove that fear. Otherwise, we're never going to be successful. And from
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
The only thing when it comes to going to Stamford Bridge in these places is mentality. We couldn't pass the ball. We genuinely couldn't pass the ball. The manager lost his head at halftime. You know, apparently there was a fight at halftime with Romero and I can't remember the other player. I think it was Emerson Royale. And it's for me, that game is only a mentality thing. It really is. So the guy in the comment is right. And you know, even though they've got some good players, Chelsea, there are players that I would take. My mate Nathan's in the comments saying Conor Gallagher, he's one of them I would take. Cole Palmer's another one I would take. But if we're being really honest, how many of those players are good enough to get into our team? There ain't a lot, mate.
Probably, if we're being honest, they're front three. Apart from Son, our front three is the worst.
Who's their front three? So you got Cole Palmer.
Got Cole Palmer.
Don't even give me that.
Mudryk played the last lot of games on the left.
Mudryk don't get in our team.
Over Werner, come on.
Yeah, but you're not looking at Werner. You're looking at either Brennan Johnson or actually maybe he might do that.
See, this is what I'm saying. Listen, when you actually look at it on paper, right? Apart from like Nicholas Jackson and Son, yeah,
Jackson don't get in our team.
But he probably gets ahead in of Johnson and Werner.
If we're looking at our best front three,
Middleway Key, that's the other player. Middleway Key, he's the other player as well.
Listen, if we're looking at our best front three, in my opinion,
yeah,
Son goes on the left, Richarlison goes through the middle, and then you can take your pick on the right hand side. So if you're going through the left, Mudryk don't get over Son, not a chance, and Jackson don't get over Richarlison. So if we're looking at,
I think that's very close, by the way.
Oh, that's close.
I'm sorry, I don't rate Jackson. I don't rate Jackson. I don't rate Richarlison. I don't think that's a good comparison, to be honest.
You're thinking the whole in.
So I was getting you talk when you said Richarlison, I was like Jackson. I was like, come on.
No matter what we say, right? When Richarlison at the back end of the season came on against Chelsea, came on against Arsenal, he caused a problem. He did cause a problem. He has scored goals for us this season. I'm not having no one tell me Jackson, that absolute joker, is better than Richarlison. That guy.
They're both bad. They're both bad. They're both bad. They're both bad.
I agree. It's absolutely crap. I agree. I'm not the
Yeah, I know. Jackson's bad as well because I saw this guy. Awful. Yeah, couldn't score barn door when we played Chelsea. And then he scored a goal. And then he scores a goal and does the zook when he... You know what I mean? The zook. You know what I mean?
Please don't understand. Don't miss what I'm saying. They're both crap. But those two players will be Son and Richarlison, and Mudryk and Jackson would not get in our team. So there is only a handful of players, 2 or 3 players that get in our team from Chelsea. It's a mental issue when we go to Stamford Bridge. And it's, by the way, it's also a mental issue when we go to places like Liverpool. Even though Liverpool slap us up, every single year, and they're a better team than us. The honest truth is, I felt like this game at Anfield, I felt like they didn't even play properly. They were just playing for the sake of playing. But we can't get the wins or the draws there at Stamford Bridge and at Anfield. We get draws at Anfield, but that's about it really. So it is for me. I just believe we've handed it to Villa in the back end of that season, the last 10 games, and we didn't really put enough pressure on.
So my next question, all right, I'm going to leave young player because we could be there. I think most of you agree it's going to be Foden, and most of you it's going to be Van der Ven. So we'll go past that one, right? So who for you was Spurs' best signing this summer? And I've got a feeling we know who it's going to be.
Who's Van der Ven? Why are we thinking?
Yeah, I'm going Van der Ven.
I think Vicario's done well.
I think Vicario's done well
because Vicario has saved us He's saved us quite a bit. To be honest, he has saved us quite a bit. Quite a bit. Maybe just to give it a bit of a mix, because everyone's going to say Mickey Van der Ven. I think Vicario's not done that badly, to be honest with you, this season. I think he's been very good this season. He saved us again. He's another one that's going to have a problem next season. He's got to be better next season. He's got to be much better next season. So we'll see how that goes. But I think for me, I think the thing that's been impressive for me, he looks more a better captain than Song all day long. I'm sorry. I just don't get the whole Song loving of him being a captain. Oh, he's so good because he gets on with everybody else and everything else. I'm sorry. I see this guy when I'm at the stadium. I see this guy shouting at people, saying, "What you doing?" Yeah, he's telling Emerson, why are you being so bang average today, son? You know what I mean? I'm sorry. This guy he's vocal. He's so vocal, yeah, and he doesn't let anybody get away with it, as far as I'm concerned. He's got more captain material in him, his little finger, than Son's got. I'm sorry, and especially Maddison. Don't even get me started on that guy, yeah. But anyway, that's all I need to say, and that's it for me. I'll just do a little bit of a different thing with Cario. And that's me being positive for once in my life. Back to you, Marlon.
Do you know what? I'm gonna move on from that, because I knew straight away it probably, if the player of the season, young player of the season and signing would probably be Van der Ven. So let's take it to the Premier League then, right? Where does Van der Ven fit in for you for the best signing of the summer? Who do you think the best signing of the summer was in the Premier League or the winter? It could be, you know, if someone's made that massive of an impact. Jay, go on. I'll start with you.
I've got like 3, which is a bit of a mad one because
Go on.
I could quite easily put Adam Wharton of Crystal Palace in there.
Yeah,
since he's been in that
6 months. Yeah,
since he's been in that side, Palace, and obviously I know it helps with their manager, but obviously him in that midfield. I've watched the last couple of Palace games, and he's two-footed. He's everywhere and anywhere. His recovery time, I think, like he's definitely got to be in there. Same as obviously young player of the season. He wouldn't obviously be that high up, but obviously the main one has to be Palmer. For the simple fact of without Palmer, Chelsea, you're talking, they wouldn't have even been in the conversation. And obviously, you guys were saying about, oh, have Chelsea been better than us? No, one player has single-handedly dragged Chelsea to that spot.
Correct.
Every single game. Same with Nicholas Jackson. 60% of his goals this season have come against us. 60%. Like this. It's the Drogba situation all over against us. He is so bad, it's unbelievable. But yeah, Cole Palmer, obviously, for me, is the standout for the simple fact of he's done to Chelsea what Harry Kane done for us for many years. He's single-handedly won games.
Alex, signing of the season, Premier League. Where does Van der Ven sit in that list?
I'm really bad because I don't really know. No one's really impressed me that much, really. I've got to be honest. But I think Cole Palmer, yeah, I think Jay's right on this one. You know what I mean? I think Cole Palmer's got to be one of them for me. Yeah, I just think he's really taken his moments, and that's it for me. But I don't think anyone's really been stood out for me. You know, that's really got my, you know, who was it? Oh no, who's that West Ham player?
Kudus,
yeah, he looks good.
He's in my top 5, to be fair.
Oh yeah, he looks good. Yeah, he's got a little bit about him, and that's it for me. But yeah, other than that, I'm not. Declan Rice. You know what I mean? Because he's been a signing as well. He's been good. And maybe even Havertz.
Bit far-fetched. Yeah, look at him, Andy. Look at him. Andy, I'm going to come to you. Signing of the season for you in the Premier League.
Do you know what? Can I just say, box office, I'd hate to watch a game with you, you know.
Bro, that's why I'm called a ratings killer for a reason, bro. People love to hate me, bro.
This
love to hate me, bro. But that's why I love it.
Andy watching
it's the fuel
together.
that pushes.
No, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. I think I'd love to watch a game with you, Andy.
You know what I mean? You know.
Anyway, I think the obvious one will be obviously Cole Palmer, Declan Rice. I hate to say it, Declan Rice for sure. Definitely not Havertz. Please give me a break.
Look at Sava in the comments.
Brennan Johnson, please, not a chance. I don't even want him out in our squad.
No, he's joking. He's joking. Because he hates him.
But Kudus is definitely one, by the way. And I have to say, I might get ripped for this one, but Doku actually has had some serious games this season for Man City. I'm not saying he's amazing.
I know what you mean.
Listen, he's had some serious games.
He's had some good, but and he's been wasteful.
Every time he comes on, he's a proper handful. And
he is a handful.
There's a reason why he comes on and City score. Most of the time, they score when he comes on because they bring him on when when teams are knackered, and he has been brilliant. But Cole Palmer's the standout one. I would say Van der Ven's in. I would probably say Wharton from Palace for sure in top 5. But I would say Van der Ven's top 5 as well, because if we're looking at top 5 defenders, he's in top 5 defenders in the Premier League. So you've got to put him in there as well. So I'm going to go with Cole Palmer, Rice, Wharton, Kudus, Van der Ven. Have I missed someone out?
No. Stel, welcome.
How you doing? You all right, everyone?
Yeah.
Good?
We've finished off Spurs' best signing, and you probably wouldn't have contributed to it anyway. So let's talk Premier League. Who's been the best signing for you in the Premier League so far? Well, this season, who was the standout one? Who made the biggest difference?
The whole Premier League.
The whole Premier League, yeah. And where does Van der Ven fit in that for you?
Listen, Vicario was like £16 million, man. That's super cheap for a goalie that saved us how many times? Yeah, he's had a bit of a wobble, but that's not his fault. It's our manager's stubbornness with tactics for set plays. So I think you take Vicario out of Spurs, we're below mid-table, man. I think he saved us so many times.
He has saved us.
For 16, 17 million pounds? Listen, you'd say Cole Palmer's had a probably bigger impact at Chelsea, but they paid almost 50 million. We paid 17. Value for money, I'd say Vicario. As an out-and-out player, probably Declan Rice.
I'm with you on Declan.
Can I just make one point? My mate, who's listening to us on YouTube, he's made a really good point. My mate Ricky, and he said Ross Barkley from Luton, by the way. Really good signing, to be fair. And he's just about to go to Villa. So I'd probably say that's a really good shout for him in the top 5.
If they never got relegated, I think he probably would have just sneaked to in front of Rice for that. Like when we look at Rice and what he compared to what Arsenal did last year to this year, and how much he had on his shoulders because of that price tag as well. I know we all hate Arsenal, but bloody hell, he has had a great season for them. No matter how much we want to go. Yes or no?
Oh yeah, he's been exceptional.
Cole Palmer has been brilliant. Don't get me wrong, but the majority of his goals were penalties. Yeah, I know. That will get thrown at him.
You're not trying to diminish Cole Palmer.
No, I'm not, because I think he's been a wonderful signing. I think value for money, he's been brilliant. But you do have to question that when 10 of them are penalties, you have to sit there and go, I know he was carrying the team single-handedly, but you have to throw that into consideration, because people say that Conor Gallagher was brilliant this season. People say certain, and that's the thing. But it is what it is.
Marlon, do you know one thing though? You see Declan Rice, he's definitely taken. I just think he's been outstanding all season. I think he's just been a 10 out of 10. Right? That's why I gave it to him. Yeah, but I don't think he's the reason alone they've elevated. Because for me, if Trossard has been off the chain for Arsenal this season.
Yes, really is.
Right. If this was 6 months earlier, because obviously they bought Trossard last season, I would have given it to Trossard, because for 26 mil, my God, man.
8 million, it's unbelievable.
That's better than Martinelli.
And he took Martinelli out of the team, which is, and Arsenal fans were literally going crazy over Martinelli, but he's kept Martinelli out.
That's a really good point, still, to be fair. Yeah. I didn't even think of Trossard. I actually have to agree.
He's below the radar, isn't he? He's just below the radar, but
they got him last season, January, didn't they? January. Yeah, so it wouldn't count as a best sign.
Was it last January they got him?
Yeah, last January.
January,
yeah. But I agree with you. Absolutely, he's been absolutely fantastic. He's bombed Martinelli out the team. He's been effective mostly. You know what I mean? Sorry, Andrew, you're going to say something.
Arsenal have been excellent this year. I hate to big them up, but they have been brilliant this year. But it is because of those little signings like Trossard, and Declan Rice. Not a little signing. We knew how good Declan Rice was. I think he's been even better than what we all think he was going to be. To be fair, but in the same vein, I feel like someone like Trossard replacing Martinelli, who had not a great season, who had not a great start to the season. is the reason why they've done well. But also Saliba being fit this year is one of the reasons why, in my opinion, they've been so consistent.
They've had a fully fit squad, didn't they?
Fully fit squad. Yeah. You know, last season Saliba got injured for 3 or 4 months, so it was kind of a massive injury for them.
Their spine has been fit, and that's been the big difference.
I mean, they've had, out of the top 6, I've just seen they've had the least injuries out of the top 6 in any top 6 in Europe, by the way. So like they've had the least injuries. I'm not saying that's the reason why they've been good. They've been good anyway, but them and City are both in the top 3. So both teams have had not a lot of injuries. Whereas if you look at Tottenham, we've had 37 separate injuries this season. So, yeah.
All right. So the next question, this is going to be a bit controversial, especially with Stel now being on the panel. Right. So this is Spurs first.
Where do I start?
Who's been the worst signing? You got only got one. You can only pick one. Yeah.
Box office, take it away.
Yeah. You can only pick one. Right. And I want everyone in the chat to go with this as well, right? And there's a few players up for this for Spurs, right? But let's see who everyone is going to come up with. Jay, I'm going to start with you because you haven't spoke for a while. Who's been the worst signing for Spurs this season?
It's easy.
Go on.
For me, Werner.
Okay.
It's a toss-up between Werner and Brennan Johnson. It's the fact of somehow we went to Nottingham Forest and got finessed 50 million. 50 million for a guy that's probably not even he's not good enough to even start for Forest anymore. And that says everything you need to know. Like they've seen Spurs come trotting down the road and gone, yeah, we want 50 million for him. And Spurs have gone, okay. It's such a Daniel Levy signing to say, oh, look, I've given you this player and we paid 50 million for him. And honestly, the guy is absolutely gash. But like, as for Werner, as I said, it's a toss-up between them two. Werner's been more impactful at times than what Johnson's been, just for the fact that he's so direct. But you put the ball at his feet, you don't know what to do with it. So I think, yeah, Johnson's probably the comfortable winner in that. And I mean, I've voiced my opinion on him quite a few times. He's a guy that can maybe give you a good 5-10 minutes at a game. If he starts a game, he's a passenger. And people are going, it's his first season. This is a Premier League player you're talking about. And it's like, come on, man, 50 million.
Alex, before Stel literally breaks.
I want to go last. I'd like to go last.
You are going last. You are going last. I'm saving you until last. Go on, Alex.
It's between the below average Shane Long. Sorry, God. It's like, I'm just gonna call him Shane Long now. The German Shane Long. I'm sorry, I'm done with him. And Timo Werner or Solomon or Brendan Johnson.
Are you just going through every summer signing?
Yeah, because I've got so much love for him. And absolutely rinsed Barnaby to pieces with this guy. Timo Werner. I'm sorry. He's absolutely awful. I'm sorry. I'm used to being, going to soccer events and just, seeing good music, good things, seeing good football. That's what I want to see, and that's it. But then I'm getting rubbish. Yeah, I'm getting rock and roll, dance, that rubbish. Like I'm not that type of guy, man. I need to see smooth things, you know what I mean? I need to see some good football. I need to see players that are gonna get past their man, with skill, quality. Yeah, and all I'm getting is bang averageness from our players. They don't make me feel good about them. Feel good watching them. They're useless. Yeah, and then I'm told, oh, we need to wait for them. They need to flourish. They need to learn to grow, and that's it. Learn Angie's system. So how am I going to give them, man? I'm sorry. He has got no arrogance. If he was in a club, he'll be run away from the ladies. I'm sorry. He's useless. Get rid. I was like, worst side of the season. I'm done. That's all I need to say, and that's it. Back to you, Marlon. I'm done.
Andy.
How can I follow on from that, to be fair? Listen, it's by far Timo Werner. He's got a £14 million buy. I wouldn't buy him for 14 quid. I'm going to be honest with you. I would send him straight back on a bus, not even a Ryanair. I'd send him on a bus and say, make your own way home. He's absolutely pony. But I will say this. Brennan Johnson, for all the shit we give Werner, he's been equally as bad. I'm sorry. He can't take on a player. He scores a few tap-ins and people are like, oh my God, he's got goal contributions. I'm sorry. He's absolutely crap. I agree. 50 million quid for him. When you look at 50 million pound for, or 47 million pound, which is what they say, for Brennan Johnson, and then you look at 38 million pound for Odegaard, you look at, I think it was 39. How much was Cole Palmer? 39. So, something around that. When you look at this, and we've paid more for these jokers, for this joker, than the top players, some of the top players, it is a bit embarrassing. So for me, Werner was always going to be crap. I don't think any of us thought that Werner was going to light the world up. I'm really, really sorry, but I think we had this conversation before, Marla. I always thought he was going to be gash. So when you look at it, we was like, you know what? Timo's a squad player. He's an extra player because Solomon's injured. He's a £500,000 loan, and we're not going to take his bite in the season anyway. But I'm sorry, when you look at Brennan Johnson for 50 million quid, he's up there with being as bad as Mudryk for 80 million quid. As somebody actually just said, Anthony for 70 million quid. I think he's up there with those worst signings. Because 50 million pound for a kid like that, who is bang average, who can't take on a player,
he does have more assists than some of the players at Arsenal. Again, I know that's been thrown about.
What did I just say? I literally just said it. We're talking about goal contributions and a few assists because we've passed it into Son and Son's done what he's done. But like he hasn't lit anything up. I'm really, really sorry. How many open goals has he missed this season?
2, I think I can think of. Werner's missed more.
Yeah, you're being very nice. He's not missed 2. He's missed double that minimum.
Hold on, I know the stat on this. What was the question?
Yeah, how many open goals has Johnson missed? You had the stat on this.
He's missed 18 big chances, big misses. 18.
That's awful.
Not open goals, big misses.
Big chances. Yeah,
that is awful. I'm sorry. Like, thank you, Stel, for that because he is absolutely not good enough for 50 million if you're going to miss that amount of chances. Still, do you know this stat? How many Jackson's missed? Because I think it's going to be around the same.
No, I don't know Jackson. I know shot conversion rate. Brennan Johnson's the second worst at the club as well. Werner beat him on that, but then it's Johnson.
Werner beat him on that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then they put about their contributions, goal contributions and everything else, and that's it. That's what sums it all up. He's so good. Yeah, he's been good this season. Yeah, he's got the best stats, one of the best stats this season. Yeah, so you obviously have watched him then. You know what I mean? This is why I don't do stats. I don't do FIFA. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Who's got the best stats?
Johnson, I've been told. I've been told this.
Yeah. I believe.
I've been argued this. I've been argued this how many times, and you know that really gets to me. The thing that really gets to me, and people do not learn. They do not learn the backup word. The backup word. Yeah. Why can we not learn? Backups do not work. I'm sorry, because if we're gonna have backups, I want 1/4 back at my club. I want Bergwijn back at my club.
In the summer, before we bought Brennan Johnson, we was looking at Kudus, by the way. We were looking at Kudus.
Stel, I'll let you finish on the Spurs' worst signing.
Mari. Spreadsheet. Sorry, Marlon. Beg your pardon.
Stel. First you're calling me Ash, now you're calling me Mari. There you go.
Sorry, man. Sorry. It could be worse. I could call you Alex. This is the chart, the table I've been doing all season, right? These are the games against the bottom half teams, Cup and League. So, Richarlison got lots of goals. Johnson's got 3 goals. Johnson's got lots and lots of assists. Richarlison's got a couple of assists, a bit of Werner, right? This is against the Bournemouths, the Burnleys, the Evertons, the Fulhams, the Lutons, the Sheffields. Soon as we play the top 10, what a disaster. Johnson, 2 goals in 19 games.
That is shocking.
Richarlison, 3 goals. Bear in mind, they didn't play in all these games. They were injured for some, but Werner, 2 goals. This is awful, right? So when you think of an attacking 3, you're thinking Mane, Salah, Firmino. They scored 50 goals between them. If you think Richarlison, Werner, Johnson, they are dog shit. They are absolute pony. Put them in the bottom half of the table, their comfort zone. They can cook. Tell them to play in the big games that matter, that win you cup finals, that win you European titles, that are clutch games that you have to win, they're a disgrace. And that's what I'm going to say, right? The facts are there. People can talk to me about dribbling. People can talk to me about crossing. People can talk to me about GA. They only turn up against weak opposition because that's their level. None of them. Richie, Werner. You can put Kulu in the mix as well, by the way. Kulu, he's another one. Turns up against all the dross. He's another one. None of these players are big game players. None of them do what Trossard does. None of them do what Foden, Salah, Saka. That's the level. Kane and Son consistently did it. Klinsmann, Sheringham, Berbatov, Keane, Defoe, they did it against the good teams and the not so good teams. This is why we're fifth. This is why we're at the Cups. Up front, we are awful. I don't care if we scored more goals than last season. Last season, we played defensive football. We weren't set up to score lots and lots of goals. We're an attacking team, and we've got the worst attackers. You take Son out of this team, we're finished. So the worst signing is joint 4 players. There's 4 of them. They're all tied. They're all gash. All of them. I can't. I watch them play football, and I can't watch it. I don't think they're good at all. Okay. I'm not being harsh. This is facts. So these
where does
top
that
10
compare?
teams, Marlon?
Yeah.
Top 10 teams, they're crap.
So the next question is, where does that compare to the worst signing in the Premier League this season? Are they top? Or is there someone else that can go ahead of them? Jay, have you got anyone to put forward for this?
Yeah, 100%. The lad, I can't remember his name now. Chelsea signed him from Southampton. Is it Lavia?
Lavia, yeah.
Mate, 70 million, 60 million or whatever it is. He was on they've put him on a huge contract. Don't get me wrong, we knew what to expect with Werner. That's why it's pointless talking about Werner. He was shit at Chelsea towards the end. He was shit at Leipzig, and that's the reason why they've looked at Spurs again coming along and gone, there you go, give us £1 million loan. We'll offer you this nice little package at the end, which screams Daniel Levy's going to activate it. I don't know what's telling me it, but I get a feeling because he brings good vibes to the club. But I think you've obviously got a few, and obviously it's harsh to say it, but you got Mason Mount again, big money. The guy's spent the whole season out injured. But yeah, if you're going to look at it, you've got to look at it for value for money, and it's Lavia. And then same with Nkunku. I know obviously he came
injured.
See.
No, he had an ACL. That's a tough one.
Yeah, he's been injured. And Slavia's been injured, to be fair. But Mason Mount, I give you.
But that's what I mean. It's hard to gauge who's been a bad signing because obviously some of them have come injured. Some of them got injured in pre-season.
Yeah.
Nkunku, for example, got rushed back, got injured the first game he come back. It's just like one of them. It's like you look at our signings and you think, even though we paid little bits of money, it's hard to find a worse signing than what we made in Timo Werner and Brennan Johnson for the value for money.
Alex, agree with Jay? Is there anyone new that you would add to the list?
Amrabat.
Yeah, not bad shout.
Amrabat for me. Just yeah.
Great World Cup. Awful loan signing.
Well, I think the World Cup was again. I think the quality aspects of the of players are terrible now. I think this summed up the fact that he was the best player for me. The entertainment wise, fantastic. Quality wise, awful. And sums up why I think Mason Mount is definitely on that list.
I think Mason Mount. I personally think Mason Mount's number one. That's got to be for Man United and for what they needed. That's 50 million just gone down the drain.
Wayne Rooney said that players are ducking out of playing games. I think that's with Mason Mount at the moment.
Andy?
Again, I'll come back to
allegedly. I would say allegedly.
No, I think you're right. To be fair, a lot of people are saying that about Man United. Yeah, I'll come back to what I said before, Marlon. I didn't rate the signing of Werner. I didn't really think that Johnson was going to light up the world anyway. But if we're looking at worst signings of the league, I'm sorry, but I've got to put Caicedo in there. He's been 114 million quid, and he's played most of the season, and he's been absolutely shocking for 114 million pounds. I'm sorry, that when you look at Lavias and stuff like that, they've been injured throughout the season. And Nkunku, he's had an ACL injury. You have to take these into consideration. So when you look at Mason Mount, he was out for 3.5 months as well with an ankle ligament damage injury. He was out for a while. I know it's 50 million quid still, but for £114 million and a guy I think he's played 32 matches in the Premier League or something stupid than that, he has to be up there as one of the worst signings this season. I'm sorry, because people were rating him like he was going to be, the next top midfielder. And this season, he's been shocking. I don't care if he scored a goal at the end, from the halfway line. I couldn't give a shit. Honest truth is, he has been atrocious this year for the amount of money that Chelsea has spent on him. I've got to put him up there, if I'm being honest with you, because Brennan Johnson's 50 million quid, which is awful. But he's at least he's got us a couple of goals. Yeah, okay, Stell's right against the crap teams, but when you look at someone like Caicedo, in every big game that they've needed to step up, he's fouled. Now, I know that Enzo Fernandez has not been much better, but I mean, I'm just saying for £114 million, he's got to be up there. To be fair,
Stel, anything different? Any new names to add to that list?
I mean, I've got plenty. So I actually had to write it down just to remind myself. I haven't been impressed by Nunes at Man City for £62 million.
Yep,
he hasn't done anything for me.
Good shout.
Soberslai, 70 million at Liverpool, the Hungarian Gerrard. I mean, really? What's he done? Maddison, controversial. What's he done? Played 10 games. He's been shit. £40 million on him. I think we need another number 10. I don't think he's the answer. Right? What has he actually done? I think Lo Celso, when he's been fit, looked better, but he's not been fit. So, but the worst signing of the season, man, without a doubt. Imagine spending £70 million on a player and then he gets suspended for a year for gambling. Tonali at Newcastle smashed it. He smashed it. You spend 70 million on a player and you don't even do a background check. And he gets banned from football. That killed it, man. That is so Spursy. Like Newcastle smashed it.
So Tonali and Mount and I forgot, but no, I totally agree. Some of them names on that list are terrible, but with
big
Johnson
money as well. These are big money signings. Like Mount, 60 million, 70 million, 62 for Nunes,
114 for Caicedo.
Caicedo
kills it though.
114 million, and teams were fighting over this kid. They were fighting over him. Liverpool missed out on Bellingham. They went all in for him, and he turned Liverpool down for Chelsea. Incredible.
So the next category. Now this time I want you to give me best Spurs game of the season that we had, the game that you said that was brilliant, and then the most entertaining Premier League game, if it's not the Spurs one. Yeah. So, Stel, I'll give you some time to think about this because I didn't send you the questions pre-handedly. I sent you so you can think about it. So, Jay, first of all, best Spurs game, best Premier League game, and everyone in the chat, what's yours? Spurs game and best Premier League game this season.
I think the best we played this season was against United at our ground, first game of the season. I think, not first game, sorry, second game of the season. That's the best we played. We looked comfortable. We were zipping the ball about. Obviously, if you're going to go down in probably the best full 90 minutes, you've got to look at, obviously, Newcastle 4-0, Villa 4-0. But for me, personally, Man United 2-1, obviously I sat next to Andy for that game. Love it. But
is that the only reason? Good company, yeah?
Yeah. But for me, I think that's the best I've seen us play this season. And I mean, that was a fully fit Man United.
What is this? Best bromance of the season?
Yeah, I think that's what he's going for.
it was a good game. We were front row. We enjoyed ourselves.
Hey, Jay, you better hope Andy picks the same game.
We shared a hot dog. We shared a drink.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong with how poor we've been for most part of this season. And that is the truth. Like, we have been poor. Even the games that we did win. I mean, 3-2 against Sheffield in the 103rd minute we scored to win that game. Even when we were winning games, we've not looked comfortable. I think if you've got to be completely honest about it, we've scored so many last-minute goals. We conceded last-minute goals. Man United, we never looked like we were going to concede. So for me, obviously, I'd say that's definitely the best we've played. Game of the season,
Premier League one.
Premier League one. Obviously, for me, it would be Villa v Arsenal, but not even the fact because Arsenal lost. It's the fact of, admittedly, not many teams have gone to the Emirates this season and given it a real, like, we're going to try and win this. Most teams have gone there and let Arsenal attack, tried to counter. And Villa just at the end, and obviously Watkins' goal to sort of seal the deal as such was just a great goal to see. So definitely that, or was it Man City v Man United, which was a big game as well. So, but yeah, they're my choices.
Alex, come on, what have you got? Spurs game and then Premier League game of the season.
Between the Man City game where we drew 3-3.
Yeah.
Reason? I was just impressed with us because I think we're up against it in that game. I felt that, you know, with the circumstances, we had Emerson and Davis in defence as well. And I just thought we handled the game really well. And I think Kudu really came out of it really well as well when he played that midfield role. I was actually quite impressed with that when he played, like when he played against Aston Villa. So yeah, I think that was I thought for me, because of the circumstances, I thought it was our best game because of the opposition. In terms of the best game of the season, only because I've watched a little bits of it. I think it was Man City. Was it Man City Chelsea?
4-4, yeah.
Yeah, 4-4.
Yeah.
I think that was good. I think. Yeah, I think that was it for me. I think.
Andy, best Spurs game this season, worst and best game in the Premier League.
Best performance, I agree. Not just because I was sitting next to him, but Man United at home.
Look, he's look, there you go. You said it, Jay. You said it.
In terms of the best performance, I actually agree. We looked solid that game. Most exciting Spurs game was definitely Sheffield when we nicked them 2 goals at the end, 100%.
Yeah.
I would say best Premier League game this season. My old man's he's going to hate me for this because he's a Man United fan. But Chelsea versus Man United, where Chelsea nicked 2 goals.
Yeah, right at the end.
That was ridiculous. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, to be fair. I would say because the game was completely swayed Chelsea's. Then it went to United. And then right at the end, them 2 last-minute goals at the end, I'd probably say that was probably the best game of the season, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, that was. You could tell that was 2 poor sides, just not on complete form, just going at each other, and they didn't really know how to defend. I couldn't agree more actually with that one. Stel, what's been your favourite memory of Spurs this year as a game going, and what's been the most entertaining Premier League game this season?
Most entertaining game for me was Arsenal Spurs. I was at that game in
the away one. Yeah.
Some of the passing moves we put together in that game, I was genuinely excited for the season. I was genuinely saying to myself, this team is everything I thought it wasn't. Like, wow. And I remember Raya making 2 top saves, one outstanding save when Johnson should have scored. Brilliant attacking moves. We really went to Emirates and
he scuffed the shot, by the way. I'm just letting you know.
He did, mate. I agree. But I thought Spurs that day. I was so proud to be a Spurs fan for once at the Emirates. I genuinely walked out of that stadium. I was recording all the Arsenal fans cussing them. I put it on YouTube. But I deserved a smack in the face that day. I got a bit too cocky, but I was so happy, man, that we didn't get battered and we actually gave them a game of football. And all the Arsenal fans were saying, like, you lot were good, man. Like, you lot. And I thought, yeah, we're good. Anyway, then reality kicked in a few weeks later. But most entertaining game was Spurs Man City because the guy behind me was having a go at me because I wanted City to win. The guy in front of me was having a go at the guy behind me because he wanted us to lose as well. The guys to the right of me, they were Arsenal fans wearing Spurs shirts, cheering on Tottenham. The guys opposite me were doing the Poznan in Spurs kits. and the manager to the left of me was kicking off a fight with the Spurs fan. And I just sat there thinking, this is a fucking joke. This is a circus. Like this is.
Hell, you was definitely in the wall. That's all I'm saying.
Say it again.
You was definitely in the wall, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was in the south.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there thinking, this is an absolute circus. Only at Tottenham. No one was agreeing. Everyone's kicking off. Everyone's just doing the opposite of what they're supposed to do. And I thought, this is wicked, man.
Yeah, the Arsenal fans in Tottenham shirts.
They got kicked out. There was fights in block 257. There was fights kicking off between Spurs fans. We should win. No, we should lose. Honestly, that was one of the most entertaining games I've been to for all the wrong reasons. It was just jokes. Just pointless. Just what can you say, man?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but I can't understand any Spurs fan who wanted to win that game. I can't.
There was a lot though.
I can't understand it. I'm sorry.
I know, nor can I, man.
I had a rant the other day on Marlon's show the other day again, and it was kind of like there was no benefit for us to be drawing or winning that game. I'm really, really sorry. Like it would have been too high of a risk to maybe get Champions League, and I feel like the manager was out of line completely in that game because the energy we wanted to see in the 4 games previous when we were getting battered by Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal. I'm sorry, but he didn't have any of that energy, and all of a sudden he wanted to bring that energy to Man City. I actually thought I'd go as far as saying that Ange Postecoglou against Man United, Man City was a disgrace. I'm going to be really harsh.
Andrew, do you know what it is, right? I think the killer for a lot of fans was, like, tell me how you guys feel. All those games before, he could have played Van der Ven at left back. He could have given Dragusin a starting. He could have dropped right. I think we all think the same thing, right?
Yep.
But the nutter of a manager that he is, the day he changes it and we actually look good, he has a go at us. It's like, bro, but this is what we wanted to see for the last 4 weeks, and you wouldn't do it.
You know, the guy refused to make a substitution at 3-0 down against Newcastle. He refused to make substitutions at halftime against Chelsea when we were shocking. He refused to make substitutions when we were getting battered by Arsenal. Like, I'm really, really sorry, but he single-handedly put us in this position. And as far as I'm concerned, I couldn't understand his energy, because for me it was fake. If I'm being honest with you, that energy against Manchester City was fake, so nobody questions him setting the team up against Man City. That's my honest opinion. And I also feel
he did say he was anxious, so you're probably right.
In my opinion, he didn't want to look like he thrown the game. I actually believe him, though. I think he wanted to get something out of that Man City game. But if you did, then you don't understand, Spurs fans. You don't understand that we don't want to give a shiny trophy to our North London rivals. I'm sorry, but the energy he had in that Manchester City game was incredible, but it was very fake because I saw none of that energy in the 4 previous games. And that's the reason why I called him a disgrace the other day. He was all over the place, to be fair, in his interviews. I don't think he's handled the press very well as well in the last 15 games. I really feel like the press have got into him, and I feel like he's attacked back at the press when a lot of the time he should just kind of like shrug it off and move on. It could have been a very, very simple thing. Look, we're going to go to win against Manchester City. He didn't need all the extravagance in the interviews that we had before. He didn't need the argument with the fan. It was just, for me, it was very fake energy from Ange Postecoglou, and I saw through the bullshit, if I'm being honest with you. But I wanted, if it wasn't fake, then I've got a bigger problem with Ange Postecoglou. I've got a massive problem with him, because if it wasn't fake, then not only you don't understand the Spurs situation, but also you didn't turn up for the 4 games previous when we were getting slapped up. So there's 2 issues here. You were either being fake against Manchester City because you wanted to show the world that you didn't want to throw the game, but really you wasn't really bothered, or you were being honest and you wanted to get a point against Man City or 3 points against Manchester City, and you were non-existent for the Newcastle game, the Chelsea game, the Arsenal game, and then the Liverpool game. So either way, I had a problem with Ange Postecoglou, and I feel like next season needs to be very careful what he says in the press, because TalkSport alluded to it the other day and said he's been battered by the press and he keeps on biting. And that City game was where it all came together, where he had to bite because everyone's like,
I think he was trumping a bit. I think he was trumping a bit, Andrew.
Throw the game, and all of a sudden, so now he's thinking shit. He's thinking, I can't look to this to see, I can't look like I'm throwing the game here. If I don't play, let's say Dragusin in that hole and then put Van de Ven at left back, which is what all the fans have been asking for the last 5 weeks, then it's going to look like I'm throwing the game. But to me, it was very fake energy. I'm not. Look, I want the manager. I like the manager. I think the football's very, very good. But for me, the back end of that season, he wants to talk about us being, wishy-washy and that, it's fragile. I think he needs to look at himself, to be honest with you, because he's been battered by the media. And that Man City game, he folded.
He was chomping at the bit, though, Andrew. Even though I do agree with you, everything you said mostly. I agree with you, but I think he was chomping at the bit a lot to say a lot of things. I think that it just clicked that game. It just clicked.
Do you know? It was just fake for me. I saw through it. I'm really sorry. I saw through it because I actually don't think he wanted to get anything out of that City game. But I feel like they put so much pressure on that Spurs performance. Our Spurs are going to throw it because of Arsenal. He was like, I have to really go at the media here. And then he wants to talk 20 minutes in the media about not throwing the game, which I'm sorry, but if I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm looking at that saying you're doing a little bit too much here. If I'm being honest with you, like you're doing a bit too much. Just answer the question, and you don't need to keep on going over it. And then he wants to come to the fan. As I said to Marlon the other day, he's lucky I wasn't behind him. I promise you. He would have heard some Greek swear words that he's never heard before. I'm Greek, but I'm telling you, it was awful. The fact he wants to start arguing on TV with the fan. You're live on TV. And not only you've crucified the team and the club, but you want to start arguing with your own fans as well. For me, it's unbelievable.
I think the fan had a go. Listen, I agree with you. I see what you're saying. In balance, because I know some people that don't agree with what we're saying, and I respect them, and I know why they said it, because they want to see our team win. They're old school guys. They're old school sort of guys that don't come to that narrative. They don't really care. You know what I mean? They just want to see our team win. So I see it.
When you say old school,
no, I disagree with this. Right? Because whoever those fans are, right?
They don't have Arsenal friends.
What they're doing?
They all died off.
No, but Stelios, I don't think. You know who I'm talking about, though. You know who I'm talking about.
But you haven't heard my point.
Yeah,
I don't care whether they're old fans, young fans, my age. All those fans that have got a problem with us who wanted to lose that game, and their argument is we've got the wrong mentality. Angie's right to call out fans for their mentality. All of them are too scared to point the finger at the problem.
Correct.
Did I hire him? One minute. Did I hire and fire 17 managers? Did I hire and fire 7 football directors?
I agree with you,
Wait, I know, but I'm just saying, I'm because in case one of these people are watching, I want them to hear my response, right? Did I sack a manager before a cup final? Did I give myself a £3 million bonus after the worst season we've had in 20 years?
I agree with you,
So if anyone's got an issue with mentality, write a letter to your chairman and say, hey, all those things that have led us to where we are now, that make us the fan base that we are now, Ange needs to speak to him. Sit down with the chairman. He attacked the fans, though, Alex. He attacked the wrong people.
I know. Yeah,
he's got issues with mentality.
I agree with you. But the point is
the fans that had a go at me that agree with.
I know, but I think I understand it from. There's certain people I know that I'm close.
Sorry,
to.
Marlon, man, I don't want to do.
No, because actually, look, you brought up a very good point, and I was saying the same at the weekend. How have we look at the end of the day? How did we get into a situation where most of our fans were wanting to lose? If we had a cup final, an FA Cup final in 2-3 weeks' time against Manchester City, I don't think any of us would want. We want to go on good momentum into that final. The Arsenal winning the league would have been an actual major issue because we'd have been thinking about we can still win a cup, right? But actually, with Ange, what he done,
I don't know about that.
I think it would have. I think the attitude would
have
been
slightly Arsenal
different.
Winning the league, man.
No, but if there was,
I'm surrounded by Arsenal fans.
I get that. But the problem is that I think because the club went and got knocked out against Fulham with the worst team. If you talk about winning mentality, you put out. If you want to win a mentality, you start the team that's been winning you your first 2 games.
Another thing, spot on.
Can I back up Ange on that point? Okay, I'm going to come in on that point. I agree with you, Marlon. What I will say, and I'll support Ange on this one, that Fulham game, he didn't know who he could trust. It was very early on in the season. There was a lot of players.
Doesn't matter.
No, I understand. There was
Doesn't
a lot
matter.
of players that were fantastic in training. Apparently, Royale was amazing in training. All these players were amazing in training. Lo Celso was amazing in training. All of these players, he didn't know who to trust. After that game, he threw out about 5 of those players because he realised he can't trust them. So
Yeah,
what I will say is that there is a point where you've got to give these players to fall on their face a little bit. And then once they fell on their face, a lot of those players kind of were not in the team for months. So he did give them a chance to say, look, Fulham away, right? You're in the cup. Go and show me what you've got. And they failed. They did fail 100%. And there is a point where you say, okay,
but that doesn't breathe. Yeah, but that doesn't breathe. You had a whole pre-season to do that. I'm sorry, you did.
But what I will say is, in training, a lot of us look fantastic.
Yeah. But he should have. He had a friendly against Shakhtar. He had a friendly against Shakhtar Donetsk where he could have played most of these players.
He did play those players,
and they would have fallen. They fell on their face then. So
I think you wanted to play them in a competitive game.
No, but I don't. But you can't sit there on one hand and go, I want to create a winning mentality. Oh, but I've got this team that is winning against United and drew against Brentford, and go, oh, I'm going to play the rest in the cup, because you're giving up a cup. There was no guarantee that the FA Cup brought us City, right? It brought us City.
Yeah.
That again, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It was City. We didn't have a shot on target in that game either, right? We were poor in both. So the winning mentality has to come from somewhere. So you can't sit there and say he has to then go play these players. He can't sit there and moan at us.
I'm not saying he has to play. And what I'm saying is,
I get that, but
all I'm saying is he had to see who he could trust in that team.
Of course, but don't come out with. But then
tell you that a lot of those, if you get that starting lineup, there was about 5-6 players that didn't play for months because he realised I can't trust these players, and that's going to happen with a new coach. Right? You know, he has to start fresh. He has to start clean and say, you know what?
Again,
he might have had this player might have had a really bad season under the last manager, but
but why do it in that game, man?
Why do it in that game?
Because it's the League Cup.
But but most of these players.
No disrespect, it's a League Cup. It's against Fulham. I feel like the team that we had out. Also, by the way, Fulham had 7 players that rested, but in that game as well, it wasn't just us. Fulham had 7 players rested in that League Cup game. So it was both.
But he spoke about mentality. That's the bit I have a problem with.
No, I'm with you.
And that's the bit. I completely understand what you're saying, and I completely agree with you. But when he comes out and blames the fans for mentality, I'm sitting there looking, going, but then why risk the Fulham game then when they've made 7 changes they've made? So right? So when the Manchester City game was just poor, and so was Burnley. So
coming on to your point, sorry to stop you. Coming on to your point, you've made a good point. That's the reason why I crucified Ange against Arsenal and against Liverpool, because you knew Ben Davies was going to get ruined against Saka. You knew Royale was going to get ruined against Salah. For me, there was no excuse. Like Stel said, we were crying out for Dragusin to either play in a 3. Right, or play Van der Ven at left back because he's got the pace against Saka and Salah. That's why I ruined it, because it's like you can't. There's no excuse now. You're talking about winning mentalities, but then you want to play Ben Davies versus Saka. And I said on the Friday before the game, if he plays Ben Davies versus Saka, it's game over before the game's even started.
And again, he got judged on the Fulham away game.
You're always going to lose anyway. But so when you look at that, he then plays Royale versus Salah, and then Salah comes right behind the back of Royale. Royale doesn't even see him. So in those instances, that's when I blame the manager, because he had Dragusin there. And then when we wanted him to play Dragusin, he plays Dragusin against City. Dragusin was exceptional. We knew that Dragusin was a better option than Ben Davies or Emerson Royale. That's the reason why I went at the manager. But at the start of the season, the manager, to be fair to him, he's got to give everybody a fresh slate. He's got to say, show me what you've got. And the Fulham away game, even though I agree, I wouldn't have played these players. We know these players in and out. So I personally wouldn't have. But he let them fall in their face, and they fell on their face. It's very simple.
Jay, just quickly bring you on it with the Ange situation, because we're going to talk about also the best coach. Oh, he's gone. but on a serious view, that's his view. You just thought of that. But on with the whole, he's back now. He's back. Where's he gone? He just clicked out.
Yep.
There you are. I wanted to bring you in on the Ange point as well. Like, obviously, you heard what he said, and we're talking about the best coach as well now. We're going to lead into that, especially with Poch going.
Yeah.
But where do you sit on the whole what Ange said and the whole Man City situation?
Do you know what? It's realistically it's hard, because you can't expect a professional whose job it is to sit there and say, look, I'm going to throw this game. The way he come out and obviously attack the fans, it's not a mentality thing. You ask any Arsenal fan that's honest, if you was in the reverse situation, you would do the same. Every single Arsenal fan is doing the exact same.
Europa League videos. That's what you need to do.
And it's like it happened when we was in the Champions League final. Oh, if we got to the final against Chelsea, would you fry us if it meant Spurs didn't win the Champions League? They all said yes. The thing is, like, as somebody said in the comments earlier, he's managed the old firm. Rivalry ain't no.
So but I brought this up the other day. Now, I get he was in the old firm, but he's never at a club long enough to feel the same passion as the fans do. And I get the old firm is a massive right, and I get it, and I do get it. But because he was at Celtic, who were the number 1 team, he's come to Spurs, where, well, let's be honest, we're the number 2 team. Yeah, we're not the top dogs. Celtic are the top dogs. So Celtic have this winning mentality, and Rangers are slightly behind, right? So I feel like that he didn't like, and they have 4 games a season as well. So did he feel like it was a bit diluted in that sense, where he understood the rivalry off the pitch, but he was never going to be put in that situation at Celtic?
Yeah, but the thing is as well that don't help is Scottish media don't sit there and attack him. If you get what I mean. Like, I think it was about 4 days when he done his press conference in the build-up. There was one reporter in there biting until Ange finally snapped, because he turned around and said, "Are you going to throw the game?" And I think Pep come out and said the exact same thing. You don't ask a manager, "Are you going to throw a game?" It's disrespectful, which it is. The fans wanting it is one thing. A football club that makes profit off of league position is going to want a different thing. There's no denying that. I think the wrong thing that he done was, instead of necessarily calling out players or maybe calling out his previous results, I mean, against Chelsea, we put in the worst performance comfortably of the season, and we weren't bothered. And that's a game where you could argue is slightly below on par with Arsenal. It's a big game to the fans, but yeah, calling him out, I think that's where he's gone wrong. He lost a lot of the fan base that day. Especially people that have supported him through the shitstorm that he has created for himself towards the back end of this season. He's sitting there and basically saying, "Oh no, the fans are to blame," which there's an element of where, yeah, okay, the fans will want one thing, and obviously he's going to want another thing. But I mean, you can't sit there and say the fans need counselling, because this big rivalry that most of us have lived through our whole life, we can decide, not necessarily decide, we can have our input on, are we going to sit there and hand them the title, and then for the next 10, 20 years here, "Oh, well, you handed us the title." No.
Yeah. And they would have, like, he might have said, like, and this is where I kind of went, it might not be at our stadium, but it'd definitely be at theirs.
Yeah. And this is it. You think, theoretically, if we had beaten City, even going off the last day's results, Arsenal win the league. If we had even drawn against City, Arsenal win the league on goal difference. So it's like, it's catch-22. It goes.
And the thing is, the thing is where I think he kind of fell down as well, because the rivalry in this country, right? He talks about mentality, right? But the Champions League, there's a team that's won the Champions League twice. Yeah, they come out to a song saying "We hate who."
Well, exactly.
Yeah, they were shit. They were crap for a whole season, right? But when it came to that Leicester game, who turned up?
Exactly. This is it. And the thing is, like, anybody who says any different don't understand rivalry, and football ain't for them. You're sitting there and you're gonna go to imagine Everton v Liverpool.
Well, look how the Everton fans reacted when they stopped when them winning the title. So
it's there's a certain, obviously, level where I completely understand where Ange is coming from, saying, "Look, you're asking me to lose the game." And obviously, I think it was one of the videos that one of you guys put in the chat. There was a fan at the game shouting at him, telling him to throw the game. There's got to be a level of respect there, but then at the same time, it's got to be given to be earned as well. And obviously, you can't, after the game, call out the mentality of the fans and 2 days before say, "Oh, we're in the wrong because we don't want to hand Arsenal the title."
Marlon,
go on.
You see Postecoglou, right? It's a couple of things. I'll be quick. He was mentored and coached by Puskas, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows what rivalry means. He's been taught by a great player that has played in rivalries. He is a player, Ange, was in rivalries. He's Greek. He knows what Panathinaikos versus Olympiakos versus AEK Athens means. He knows what that means, right? He's been at Celtic v Rangers. He's been in enough environments to know what rivalry means. I think what he underestimated was how deep our hate for Arsenal is.
I think,
because with Celtic and Rangers, it's sectarian. It's a religious. It's a different type of hate. Ours is pure football hate. Like, we hate them for footballing reasons, territorial. And I think he underestimated the type of hate we've got. I think he probably thought, do you know what? This lot probably want to win. You know, they're football fans. He just underestimated. No, we fucking hate Arsenal. We hate them, man. Proper hate them. And I think now, I'm glad this has happened. Do you know why? Because next year, he won't underestimate the hatred of this match.
Still, this is the reason why I think it's fake. Because, like you said, he's Greek. We're Greek, yeah? I don't know if you're Greek still. I'm Greek, right? We know that in these games, right? So,
Stelios.
Yeah, I thought so anyway. But like, when you go to Greece and see those games, mate, they've got guns on the pitch, mate. This is just serious stuff. It's not a joke. So
Italy, Spain, Greece, Turkey. It's fiery.
Exactly.
It's fiery, man.
You understand what rivalry means, and that's the reason why I said
he knows.
I believe it was fake because all of a sudden the limelight was on him, and it was all about, are you going to throw the game? He knows what the rivalry is like, whether he's been here for a year or 10 years. He knows that Spurs are not going to want to sit down and give Arsenal a lovely shiny title. And at the end of the day, I felt like, because it was so much that he was doing, that's the reason why I felt like it was fake. Because, like you said, he's come from Greece. He's come from those places where rivalry is life and death. It's not a game to them. It's serious.
Do you guys think the pressure's been building up on him, and he kind of almost used this as a release valve excuse just to release the pressure and just kind of, because Alex said he's been chomping at the bit. So
100%. I do agree with that, because, like you said, like all the media and everything, and all the pressure got to him on those 4 out of 5 games that we lost. And I believe that he was
the way we lost as well. We were losing badly. We're getting
slapped,
banged up left, right, and centre.
Also, I think the set piece thing as well got to him as well, because when he came out and said, "We don't need a set piece coach," I think everybody saw how aggressive he got with every single question with set pieces, especially against Arsenal when we conceded 2 from set pieces. They were like,
I agree.
Oh no, there's bigger problems than set piece, but that's trying to deflect the fact that we can't defend properly. So, like, a lot of these issues that he's having in the media, it is pressure being built up on him, and that's the reason why, for me, it was fake energy. That argument with a fan was fake energy, because I don't think he's stupid enough, coming from Scotland, coming from Greece, understanding rivalries over there. He's not stupid enough to think, oh, we just give Arsenal a title. Don't worry about that. But what I will say, though, I don't know. I'll ask you boys a question, because my opinion would have been different if we was in 4th and we had it in our hands. My opinion would have been different. I'm going to be honest with you. I said this on the other show. If we was in 4th and we had it in our hands, would you still have wanted to throw that game?
My mind was gone, because I didn't care about Champions League. I couldn't care about Champions League. So for me, it wouldn't made no difference for me, in my opinion, anyway. You know what I mean? So
that would have meant beat Liverpool. No,
not Liverpool. It was Man City and then Sheffield United.
Yeah, but now I'm thinking about the games beforehand. Would have had to have lost to Arsenal, but still managed to get a result against Chelsea and the others. And
let's say we got a result at Chelsea, and then we had to beat City or get a draw against City, and then Sheffield United would have been a given anyway. But I mean,
ask me that situation when it comes up again. I don't know how.
To be fair, to be honest, I think
card free.
To be honest, I think in some way it would have made it worse for me, because it would have said to me, if we gave a lead to Arsenal, I would have said, well, okay, if you're going to give you a lead to Arsenal, I want the league next season then.
Never
help. You know what I mean?
Never help Arsenal.
Because it's like, for me, it's just like, I just felt like, well, we're not gonna, if I can't have this anymore, getting embarrassed anymore. I've seen Leicester City embarrass us. I've seen West Ham embarrass us. I've seen, because they've won a Conference League and we ain't won nothing. You know what I mean?
Listen,
And
if
then the
Arsenal,
Arsenal thing. I mean,
yeah,
when Arsenal won at White Hart Lane, we were rubbish.
yeah, we were rubbish.
We were rubbish. So, but this one hurts because this one really hurts because we were bad. We were on par with Arsenal, and they kept their manager through bad times,
Listen,
which is what I said
Arsenal spent
since Poch.
682 million quid. Let's not act like they've done it, out of just having a good manager.
No, but they're stuck with their
spent a
manager.
lot of money.
But Andy, the
their
point I'm
manager.
making is right. This is why I say I can't back this at the moment until I know they back this when they stick with their manager through bad times.
Agreed.
Yeah, they stuck with their manager through eighth, and fifth, and I've heard from them their owners by saying we'll give you a new contract. When Arsenal fans were saying Arteta out, yeah. If Tottenham fans say Ange out, right? Watch this ownership say, you know what I mean? And
Listen,
that's the problem. That's the problem.
Ange's never going to get backed the way that Arsenal have backed Arteta. As I said, he spent £682 million. He spent 29 players. Arteta,
And they're still stuck with their manager.
Yeah, but they're
still
still
stuck with their manager.
Listen, I'm with you, but they've still won nothing. And there's a question to say that if they had a different manager last season, they wouldn't have dropped 9 points.
Yeah, but this is the point.
I'm not saying that Arteta's good or Arsenal or they've just used money. They haven't. They've got good players now. They've got a decent coach. But what I'm saying is, our board are never going to back Postecoglou the way that Arsenal have.
Well, they're never going to stick with the manager, Andrew. This is the point.
I disagree. I think they will stick with the manager because I think they're really.
Okay. Well, you tell me. Will you tell me why then? You tell me why Scott Munn has said absolutely dilly squat since he's had the bad run. Why have I not heard nothing from this club saying anything? Yeah, when they've had so many bad years at this club. Yeah, and that is not leadership. That's my problem.
I can answer that.
That is my problem. That is my problem. When I'm seeing Newcastle United owners saying 5-year plan, we're gonna achieve this.
Listen,
yeah.
The one thing we know about Tottenham is they never talk when we're doing bad. They only talk when we're doing good.
That's the problem. That's the problem, Andrew. That's the problem. So don't tell me to back anything. Do not tell me to back anything if you can't back it yourself.
Agreed.
Yeah?
And one thing that I will praise them scumbags over the road for is when they were going through their shit, they came out and the Cronkies came out. I think it was Josh Kroenke.
Exactly.
And backed him. And then Edu came out and said, listen, he came out to the fans and spoke to the fans and said, look, we're going to go for it. We're going to give him the money.
That's his leadership.
Agreed.
That's his leadership.
This is all off the back of Marlon asking me what was your most entertaining game of the season.
But this is leadership. No, I'm sorry. It's led to this. It's just led to this conversation. It's just led to this conversation. Because like I said before, because when people are having a go at me at the beginning of the season telling me, I'm sorry, Mr. Box Office needs to unleash now. It's his moment now. The point is, right, when people are telling me I was a joke, I was this, I was that, I was scum and everything else, who's saying the same thing I'm saying now, bro? Who's saying the same thing I'm saying? Mr. Box Office now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah? Right?
Alex.
Who's now saying the Arsenal situation? Everyone now. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I've got a question for you. Yeah, I've got a question for you though. Right? Why did the club need to come out in the last few weeks and say anything? Shouldn't they come out after this Newcastle game's tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow. Right, and then come out to the fans and say, this is what we're going to do. Like you said, right, when Kroenke came out after a certain time and said, we're going to do this, and this, right? Because the bad runs only happen now, right? It's only happened since Newcastle. Before that, it was up and down like a yo-yo. There's no need for the club to communicate with us. As from Wednesday, as soon as that stupid friendly's over, that's when the club should be coming out and telling us, as fans, what they see the summer as, and how they see next season, what the future plan is.
Well, they need to say something because I'm getting fed up with. I'm just getting fed up with because to be fair to Ange, Ange has said what his achievement is. He said he wants to win the league, right? That's what he wants to end up doing, right? Regardless whether we believe it or not, that is what he wants to achieve. At the moment, I don't see what Tottenham want to achieve. Yeah, and the thing is though, the fascinating thing about Ange, you ask him about the Celtic thing. You ask him about Celtic, see his face light up like gold. see his face light up like gold.
Yeah, but they have a different mentality to us.
Well, that's the point. That's the point. That's the point.
It's not a tough job to take, Celtic.
It's not.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I know, but look, Andrew, my point is,
fail at it.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, box office. I agree with what you say. I just feel like he knows he was coming into a completely different situation at Spurs. He went into Celtic and they were the second best team in the league at the time, and then
not really.
Well, but the Rangers won the year before.
Yeah,
no?
yeah, but it wasn't.
So, I mean, in hindsight, they were the second best team, and then he comes in and he slaps everyone about, and it's the Scottish League. He knows he's coming into a Spurs team who are in pieces, haven't won anything in 15 years. He knows it was going to be a tough job, but the honest truth is, I'm sure that he's had assurances from the chairman, from the board. The one thing we can't expect as Spurs fans, and we've all been Spurs fans all our lives, we can't expect the board to come out and do anything different like they've done for the last 35 years because they're not going to do that. Do you understand? They're not going to give this man 200 million a season. They're not going to, come out and speak when we're in trouble and say this is what we want to do the same way Edu did and Todd Bowley did at Chelsea. There's not that type of ownership we have. So I think we really need to be realistic too.
But Andrew, that's the problem then. Unfortunately, don't tell me to back it then. Don't tell me to back it then. That's the problem because unfortunately,
but then you're going to always be in that situation. You're not going to back anything they do.
Because the thing is, though, the problem is that when you've had years, unfortunately, my mind's gone. It was gone after Mourinho came in, mate. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, I'm not going to change. You know what I mean? But the point I'm making is that you can't tell me to back something if you just can't do it. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. If you can't tell me you back this guy, yeah? If you can't tell me you back this guy, I'm sorry, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. You need to tell me that you believe in the manager. If you don't believe in the manager, don't tell me to believe in it then. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm real like that. I'm not having to go at you, Andy. I'm not having to go at you, Andy, yeah? But it's just for me at the moment. They get paid £3,000 a bonus. Yeah? And I've had years of knowing this. Why are Brighton doing it better than us? Yeah. Why is it other teams are doing it better than us? Newcastle are doing it better than us.
Yeah, but okay, I can answer that. I can answer that Newcastle one because if you go and watch the Amazon documentary of ours and go and watch theirs, you will see they're more invested in it and it's not just about spending money. They're invested in Newcastle. Like they might have been faking it, but Daniel Levy couldn't fake it like that on our documentary. You could clearly see he was in awe of Mourinho, and it was a case of trying to do something really short and quick because we were asking for trophies, and it was never going to work. And he lost sight of that. And what I wanted to quickly talk about and move on to, right, because it's going to coincide, because Andrew's the next topic anyway, right? I wanted to know who you thought the best coach was this season, or the best manager, and the worst one, who underachieved, right? But in that question at the end is, because we spoke about Ange that much, would you take Poch back as well if it meant replacing Ange? Box office, start with you.
Best coach, I have to say.
Manager of the year.
Manager of the year. It has to be Guardiola. I mean, if you're looking at the bottom clubs, I mean, Bournemouth coach has been impressive. I think the Wolves coach has been very impressive. I think Mo Neal's been very impressive as well, to be honest. And you've got to give Everton some props because they've had a lot of obstacles against us as well. But I think for me at the moment, I think you have to give it to and I don't think Aston Villa. I think it still has been a bit of disappointment. You have to be honest. You know what I mean? That they didn't do anything in that Conference League.
Well, they've got Champions League football. It's first time.
Yeah. They've got Champions League, but I think they did well. But I think the season hasn't been that great this season. I've got to be honest. But I think Man City. Yeah, for me to answer the question, I think Man City. For me,
have got Clement Longley at centre back, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. I'm maybe being a little bit harsh, but I think Man City for me. With the obstacles they've had, and they got back and they've got 4 in a row now for me, man. Pep Guardiola.
Worst? Who's underachieved?
I was going to say
This
Man
one.
United. I
Yeah.
was Man United, but
Ten
then,
Hag has got to be the easiest,
but
right?
then in saying that, if he wins the FA Cup, would you be asking who's had the better season,
True.
Arsenal or
Two trophies.
Manchester United?
Well, this is the thing. Unless Ten Hag wins that FA Cup, he's got to have
Yeah, I think
underachieved.
it's got to be Ten Hag because I think that Crystal Palace game was awful, and also the stats. I mean,
They've been awful this year.
yeah, they haven't been great. I think it's been a bit of a shambles. Let's be honest. So yeah, Ten Hag.
Okay, yes or no? Would you take Poch back tomorrow? Yes or no? I don't want to know. I don't want any more than that. Would you take him back tomorrow, even though he's a bit beat up and a bit stained?
I'm just gonna go with my instinct. Yes.
Okay, Andy, best manager this year or underachiever, and then the dreaded question.
Best manager. Well, the most impressive manager this year, Unai Emery for me. I can't. I mean, they have been. If somebody would have said Aston Villa at the start of the season, we would have laughed. If I'm being honest with you, for me, Unai has done an amazing job. In the big games as well, he's done an amazing job, and I think that is the reason why I'll give him that. The most impressive manager also has been Glasner from Palace.
Yeah.
What he's done at Palace is unbelievable, actually.
The only thing I say about that is, right, every time Palace do this, right, Palace do this a lot. They'll sack a manager and then they'll bring someone in. He'll do well for the 6 months towards the end and then get into next season, start well, and then they just fall off a cliff.
But I feel like with Glasner,
it'll be interesting next season.
With Glasner, he's changed the style of football at Palace as well.
3-5-2, isn't it?
A lot more direct. They're brilliant defensively as well. They're really, really hard to beat, and they score a hell of a lot of goals. So in the short term, I'm going to say like Glasner's been incredibly impressive. But I'd say, I mean, I've got to give it to Emery, and the most impressive short term will be Glasner. The worst manager
is that the underachieved this season.
I mean, underachieved. You've got to look at Ten Hag, but you also, I feel like Vincent Kompany as well. Everyone, gassed up about this guy, like he's some serious manager and the football they play and all of this. I feel like obviously Ten Hag is the biggest underachiever by a million miles, because he spent 429 million quid, and still we speak about the money, and I speak about the money with Arsenal fans a lot, but in the same way, you got to kill the United boys as well. And he spent 429 million pounds on that team, and they look absolutely shot to pieces with Johnny Evans at the back. So I've got to put him as definitely an underachiever. But I'd say I'm a little bit disappointed with Vincent Kompany as well, Burnley.
Still,
I'm gonna give it to Glasner. I'll give it to Glasner.
Underachiever.
Glasner, 15 games, he won 13.
Yeah, lost to Ange though.
Lost to Ange, lost to Man City, but he battered Man United. He took it to Liverpool at Anfield.
Yeah, he beat them, didn't he?
Yeah, beat them 1-0. Yeah, destroyed Newcastle. I mean, Ten Hag, man, the guy flopped hard this season. He didn't have a good season.
I forgot to ask Andy, but would you take Poch back if I offered him to you today? Would you take him back?
No. Look, I love Pochettino. Everybody knows he was my favorite manager, but sometimes you don't go back to an ex, man. I'll be honest with you. It might be all right for a couple of weeks. You might have a good time. You might go to the club. You might spend some money. You might go to a hotel and it'd be lovely, and then you have a good time. And then all of a sudden it comes crashing down because you realize it didn't work for a reason. My honest opinion is right now, no, absolutely not. For me, you've got to leave Ange and let him do his thing. The honest truth is, if they don't support Ange, who are they going to support? Do you think they're going to bring back Poch and support him? Because they're not going to. They're really, really not going to. So for me, it's like, why are you going back to that ex that you really never had a great relationship with? And at the end of the situation, for me, you just got to keep on. Just got to keep on with Ange. You've got to support Ange, and I would not swap Ange right now for Pochettino. In the future, you never know what happens in the future if there's no managers about, and you feel like maybe it's the right time to bring him back, possibly. But right now, I think we're on a different wavelength right now in terms of our situation. So I would stick with Ange.
Stel, would you take Poch back?
Yes.
So my last question.
But I agree with everything Andy said, though. Logic says keep hand, but I wanted Poch back when Conte was done. I wanted Poch back.
So did I, by the way.
Underachiever. Would you say, this manager, right, or I'm going to mention, has underachieved this season, considering everything they were going for, and they only actually ended up lifting one trophy? Jurgen Klopp. Considering how it all tailed out at the end.
Oh, you're the devil, Marlon.
I am the devil,
man. The devil. God.
I think for the standard of what Liverpool are, yes. But if I was in their shoes, I would take that all day long. Because we haven't won nothing.
But to say Liverpool weren't Jurgen Klopp's last season, say it wasn't. He didn't say he was retiring, and considering where they were in February and March, they were top. Everyone forgets that they were top. They were in competition.
They were never going to win the league.
Too many injuries at the worst moment.
I think also
it was when they brought back all their first team players that it all started to go
They
wrong.
lost Jota.
Realistically, what they're going to win? Let's be honest. Realistically, they're never going to win the Premier League. Never.
But did he underachieve in the end?
Listen, personally, I've got a lot of Liverpool mates. Some of my best mates are Liverpool fans, and I went to Madrid with Liverpool fans as well. So I understand what they're about. But to be honest with you, if you look at what Jurgen has done, especially this season, I don't think he got the signings he wanted to get. It was after Bellingham, he got Endo and McAllister. If you're looking at the signings that he should have got, then I think you would have said he's underachieved. In terms of the Prem, he's never going to win the Prem. In terms of the FA Cup, I mean, that's hit and miss. He's won the League Cup. The one that I would say is underachieved in is Europa League. I do believe that they should have won that. But realistically, that's the only one I would say he's underachieved in.
Actually, Marlon, he has underachieved. He should never have lost to Atalanta 3-0 at home. That's a joke. And the FA Cup, he's 2-1 up. And I remember when it happened, I was watching my brother. I said, he's gone too early. He took off too many good players too soon. And he gave Man United the door to come back in. So do you know what? He has underachieved.
Yeah, no, and that's why I asked the question, because no one will throw him out there. But he finished, like, the whole season finished without a whimper, right? Considering at one point they were in 4 competitions. They just won the League Cup, and then all of a sudden,
top 4 in a trophy.
But that's not Liverpool standards. That's Spurs standards.
I agree.
We're building statues.
Look, don't get me wrong. Everything that
I've got a soft spot for Jurgen Klopp, man.
I do too. But I love
the guy. I think he's amazing. I think what he's done for Liverpool is incredible. So I mean,
a lot of people say he's only won everything once. So
I'd take one of them, just any of them. I don't mind.
I had a soft spot until he called for a replay.
I was done then. I was actually done.
I'm like, nah, man.
No, guys.
Klopp's a great manager, man. He's a fantastic.
He's a good manager. I just think for him, and this is why I think when you look at underachieved,
he just came up against a Man City machine that no one can touch, man.
Yeah,
they're just
completely agree with you. But you know what? Thank you, Jay. Thank you for coming on earlier, Mr. Box Office. Let the people know where they can find you.
Mr. Box Office TV. Hopefully, do something tomorrow. Just got a few things to say, and I'll be on the summer, and also look out because Mr. Box Office is going on tour. He's going on tour somewhere, and while the charade of the transfer window goes on, I'll be doing videos while I'm on tour as well. So just keep a peeled out for that as well. So you know what I mean. So let's go. But you know how to find me. You know where it is. The Main Event, the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, the Ratings Killer, Andrew's Nightmare, and everyone's guilty pleasure, and that's it. And if you don't know, get to know. And let's go. Back to you, Marlon. I'm done.
Thank you, Alex. Andy, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
Alex, you're not my nightmare, mate. I love being on a podcast with you, so it's fine. Find me on Instagram, AP_personal training _fitness. That's me. So come and shout at me.
Stel, you want to let people know about the pitch that we're currently streaming on?
Yeah. By the way, I didn't I didn't know you were streaming at this time. I would have ended my show earlier. I wasn't aware.
I told you already. I was waiting for you to finish.
I didn't even know, man. I'm so sorry. Because I'm
Because I knew you were
shows.
streaming at 8. Yeah, I knew you were streaming at 8. So I gave myself. I thought you, but then it's you and bloody what do you call it, Steph? You look.
I would have done a redirect.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Next time, man.
If you need me on, let me know.
Yeah, come on whenever you want. You're always welcome. You come on my channel as well, Tottenham Away, whenever you want.
Yeah, I'll come. Just let me know. Get my information from Marlon. Let me know. I'll come on.
All right, wicked, nice one. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to do a watch along tomorrow. I've decided 10:30 a.m. Newcastle Spurs Australia. I'm going to do a watch along with. I'll probably do it with Eugene Spurs Asian. Might as well.
Yeah, still get Andy on, please, because I like his jip.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Just for you, Alex. Just for you.
By the way, I just want to say thanks to everyone in the comments as well. Everyone's been so nice in the comments. Really appreciate everyone bigging me up. So, you
got lucky there. Come on a bit more. They'll stop.
Yeah.
In it, become a regular. Let's see what you say.
No, and I want to just say that again. Everyone in the chat tonight, thank you. Whether you've been on Spurs Kings TV or been on the pitch, thanks to everyone who's got involved tonight. This show actually couldn't have lasted as long without you, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Please, if there's anyone that watches this after, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. I love reading the comments afterwards as well. I will reply to every single one, and I want it's the same list. Best signing, worst signing, blah, 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 and all that. And once you go through it. But as always, come on, you Spurs. Premier League's done. FA Cup next week. And hopefully Spurs win tomorrow.